Hello and welcome back after what is almost 2 years of a break. I'm so sorry. To the Stoked podcast. Today, we're joined by Caff of the Caffcast.
Martin, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me on for the first show. I believe it or not, I used to listen to this show back in the day.
No.
And to join, and to join you on the debut is exciting. Because we're back, right? We're back. It's time.
We're back. It's going to be like every week or maybe every other week. I haven't decided on just how constant we're going to be doing these podcasts, but I think I'm sort of sticking with the same theme as before, as like having a Yogscast member on each week and then having a non-Yogscast member on each week and just sort of go from there.
It sounds awesome. It was a great show from the last time, so hopefully people still enjoy it. Let us know what you think down below, I guess. It's the first one. I'm so excited to get into it.
Constantly getting tweeted by people. So if you're brand new to this podcast, essentially, this is a podcast where we talk about 5 things that we are stoked about. That's why we spell stoked with a 5. And basically, we'll let Caff go through his list. We're going to chat about stuff. I'm probably going to learn something. You'll probably learn something. And then we've got my 5 favourite things, or 5 things that I'm stoked about. At the end of the podcast, it's just kind of like little throwaway, like nice to mention type things. So Caff, what is number 1?
The first one that I've gone for, I've kind of done these roughly in kind of date order. The first one that I've got happens in May of this year. It's the new Star Trek TV series, Star Trek Discovery. Do you know about this? Have you heard about this?
No.
So excited for this.
See,
oh my
so
God.
with Star Trek, I've always enjoyed the episodes that I've watched, but I've never watched them in any kind of chronological order. Like, for me...
So you've not, like, properly watched The Next Generation or Voyager or Deep Space Nine or anything?
There's one that has a lady captain who I think is great.
Voyager.
There's...
Catherine Janeway.
This is the thing, I don't know half the stuff. There's a lady captain, there's one with a dude captain, I think it's Picard.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the Starship
what is his name, Professor
Next Generation.
So there you
Stewart,
go. I've seen clips of those. Basically, like my habit of watching these shows is I used to get home from college or university. I'd get in, I'd make myself a nice ham and cheese sandwich. Don't know why you need that detail, but it's very important to me. Pommes Bear crisps, wagon wheel. Makes me feel like
crisps and a wagon wheel.
It makes me feel like I'm 12 again.
Perfect. Oh, it sounds amazing.
So even though I'm doing slightly more adult things, I still come home in the afternoons and do this. And then there would just be a random episode of one of these shows on.
So
absolutely.
I've just caught it used to be Simpsons and then Star Trek pretty much straight after, didn't it?
Yep.
For like a long time.
It would always be My Wife and Kids, then Star Trek, and then it would often drift into like Takeshi's Castle, I think. So what's the deal with this new show? So where does it fit in any kind of timeline, or is it unrelated to the other ones?
It's called Star Trek Discovery. For all you Trekkies out there, I think it's said it's 10 years before the original series.
Oh,
so,
God.
They've kind of been teasing it. What they're teasing is basically it's going to be covering a period in in the Star Trek lore that covers something that's talked about a lot in the series.
It's one of those things where it's like
done before.
It's like the Great War of Blaramesh, and it's like
exactly.
And now we're going to see Blaramesh in all its great glory.
That's the kind of thing, yeah. So, for example, like the Wrath of Khan, although you might have seen Khan in the new films, like they were talking about I can never remember the name of it, but it's like the Hirabashi something or other, and it's basically like this trial that it's basically like a test that Starfleet has to go through that you can't complete, right? It's like it's something that you can't. There's no way to win it, but it's not something that you're supposed to win. It's just a way for Starfleet to sort of assess your abilities.
Right. It's
and
just
the
for
whole
a gauge.
kind of like and the lore of it is that Captain Kirk was the only person to ever like beat it. That it's kind of it's those kind of things. So everybody's like hugely like kind of like discussing online what this could cover, and there's a couple of ideas out there. I'm not going to go through any of them on the podcast because I want to kind of leave it for you guys to have a look for yourselves.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the idea that there is a brand new Star Trek series that is being released, not only because it's new Star Trek, but also because they're making sure that the episodes are broadcast at the same time in 24 countries worldwide. Now, why this is only just happening in 2017, I have no idea, because constantly, you know this, Martin, we watch like maybe an episode of Game of Thrones or whatever
Walking
is aired,
Dead.
and then we're so far behind, like all the spoilers are going out on Reddit, all the top memes are going out there, and us sitting here in the UK, even though we're ahead in time from America. We're 5 hours ahead of you guys.
And this is even if you pay for the correct services. If you do this full legit series, like you get Sky Atlantic, I think it's called, and you can watch Game of Thrones the second it's available in the UK. That is still a whole 24 hours after it goes out on HBO in America. And I kind of get it to an extent because HBO is an American company and blah, blah, blah.
But at that time, you may as well have just, like, watched it on an illegal source, because that's quicker than waiting for the thing that you're paying for to give you the episode. Like, it doesn't make sense.
That's why we have, like, this whole culture of people that will happily pirate things, like, on the go, but then they'll often turn around and go, but I will buy the box set. Because they want to pay for this service. They want to pay and have it there at the exact same second. But we just don't have the flexibility, and that's a big problem with a lot of different mediums.
It's a huge problem, and I mean, I'm really excited to find out whether or not it works with Star Trek Discovery. I'm hoping it sets a precedent. This is a CBS show as well, so it is a real proper company that are taking a really good look at whether or not this is going to work. So,
question is though, if it's simulcasting across 24 countries at once, is it going to be like a nice time for America and then god awful time for the UK? Like,
I mean,
like 4
I have no idea. I mean, if say it was like 6 Eastern, 5 Central, or whatever like that. That's going to be about sort of like 11 midnight for us.
That's doable. It's not like a wrestling pay-per-view where it starts at 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning.
Wrestling is impossible. You have to stay up for that, and I've done it a few times because both myself, you guys might not know, myself and Martin are kind of like still got a little bit of WWE in our blood.
Yeah, I dip my toe in every so often. You definitely keep me up to date with everything.
It's just such a fun thing just to sort of lose yourself in every now and again, because it reminds me of my childhood so much.
I think when eventually all the old wrestlers like die out, and not die out, that's a horrible word.
when they're all gone.
When all the old wrestlers retire, because I mean, like Undertaker is somehow still going. There's a lot of rumors that this is Undertaker's last WrestleMania.
There's a feud with the
Reigns
right now.
That's it. They reckon Roman's going to win, and they reckon that Roman's going to become the new Undertaker in terms of like never being beaten and things like that.
But I hate Roman Reigns so much. But like wrestling is a whole other story. The problem with the WWE though is that exactly that, because they are shows, they're live shows that are done in a convention center somewhere or whatever. They have to be on a certain time. Yeah. This is obviously all pre-recorded, so I'm hoping it'll be a little bit easier to do. But something you might be interested in, Martin, is that the main protagonist in Star Trek Discovery is Sonequa Martin Green, who is better known as the Walking Dead star with the samurai
my God,
sword.
It's Sasha.
Yeah,
no, she's not the one with the samurai sword.
No, sorry, not her. No, the other one. Sasha Williams.
She's not Michonne.
The one who fell in love with old Ginger McMilitary.
She falls in love with a lot of people. Like, bless her heart. She's had 3 loves in this show. She's had like Abraham. She's had oh god, the guy that died in the church. I know that's spoilers, but if you're not caught up on Walking Dead, it's your own fault.
Well, the main one was Abraham, wasn't it?
I say that, but I literally didn't catch up on Walking Dead until the beginning of this season that we're currently in. Like, I caught up, had
so I haven't
Negan
watched
introduction.
a couple of the episodes. I haven't watched the newest episodes in the halfway season. I know. I'm going to watch it tonight.
So
don't worry,
good.
I'm all over it. But
that's cool.
She's going to be the main sort of.
So is she going to be the captain?
It's a strong, so it's a strong black female role. Lead, like she's the main protagonist. I'm trying to find the name of the person.
The thing is with her is
she's playing Captain Rainsford. There you go.
She's a very adaptable actress. Like
she's great. I love her.
I think she has a super expressive face. I think she can show off like annoyed and badass, as well as have that really sort of like heartbreak and empathy look about her face. It's just something about that cheek structure she's got going on that just she can do anything.
So apparently she's not actually a starship captain, it says. So the decision not to make the series protagonist a starship captain was made to see a character from a different perspective on the ship. So actually, she's not. She's a lieutenant commander assigned to the USS Discovery. She's not the actual captain, but she is the protagonist in this kind of series. So yeah, really, really excited to see what they do with this.
So when does that hit us then? When do we get that?
So currently we just have May 2017. So
that's all right. That's close enough, isn't it?
But that's not too far away. The other thing as well that is really good for people in the UK especially is that if you don't have access to CBS, or if you don't have any kind of subscription that can get you CBS, the episodes are being put on Netflix the day after anyway.
Oh, really?
So if you've got Netflix, then literally the day after.
I'm just totally going to watch it on there then. I'm fine with that.
Well, exactly. I'm going to watch it on there as well. After having our massive conversation about the 24 country broadcast thing, because it's very hard for us to get CBS over here, but we have Netflix, so we could just watch it on Netflix and try to dodge
Well, it's the beauty
spoilers.
of if it does go out at those times in the US, typically you can go to bed, you can wake up and watch it first thing in the morning, and then you won't have any spoilers. If you just stay off social media, you have your breakfast whilst you watch the show, everything's good.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
So,
but that's my first one anyway, Star Trek Discovery.
That sounds
can't
awesome.
wait.
So what's number 2 on your list, sir?
So the second one I've got is actually a real life thing as opposed to a game or a TV show. Because this year, in sort of mid-May, is the very first time that I'm going to be going to America. I'm heading out to Texas for a convention.
I'm going to that as well.
You're going to the convention as well.
I'm
That's
off to
true.
that.
There's a few of us that are going, but I've never done an international flight before. I've never done a long haul flight. The longest that I've been in a plane is about 3 hours.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
about
45 minutes. I was like, that only took us to Ireland.
I've done to Croatia from the UK. If you want to get a Google Maps out and find out how long that is. But this, I'm really excited because I've always wanted to go to America so badly, but I've never had the chance. I've done loads of traveling around Europe, but never had a chance to go to America. And the first place in America that I'm going to is Texas.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get a leather cowboy hat.
We're going to have a lot of barbecue.
Boots. Going to eat some barbecue.
Are we going to fire guns? I want to fire guns.
Yes, so there are.
We tried to do that when we were in Philadelphia, and it never happened.
There are a few things that when you go to America, you really want to do, right? You wanna shoot a gun. You want to be able to have some American fast food that you always hear people talk about, like Wendy's.
Yeah,
that's
Wendy's
something that you just can't have in the UK.
In-N-Out. I had In-N-Out.
Yeah.
In-N-Out is the greasiest thing I've ever eaten in my life. And
sounds amazing.
My poop came out exactly the same way. It just slipped out. It was still covered in grease when it came out the other end.
It was literally just a finished burger on the other side.
It kind of was. You know, sweet corn doesn't change when it goes through. Just imagine an In-N-Out burger does the same thing. It's just mushed up.
Just
it was
reforms itself up at the other end. There we go.
Two little arms poke out and it just starts just pulling itself away.
Well, that was fun. I'm out of here. See you later. I'm done. Well, exactly. And I mean, not only that, but also going to my first either hockey game or baseball game.
We went to a baseball game,
jersey, that kind of thing.
We went to a baseball game when I was last out in America, or one of the last times I was out there.
Where did you go last time?
So I think the last time I say this, it sounds daft. I think the last time I was in America was when I went to Anaheim in Los Angeles, and then we also went to San Diego. But we actually went and saw the Anaheim Angels play at their stadium, and they had a home game. And we had no idea this was on. This was just after Minecon. We had a couple days off before some of the guys were heading home, and then I was going to go down to San Diego for TwitchCon.
Sure.
And we're in the taxi and we decided, right, today is our chill day. We're not going to do anything. We'll just probably have some drinks in the evening, hang out on the pool all day. Everything's going to be good.
Nice relaxing day, yeah, sure.
But as we're on the Uber on the way to Walmart, which is a whole... Walmart's interesting. We basically saw all these banners, and the taxi driver was like, "Oh yeah, they're playing tonight," and we were like, "No way!" So then we found out the taxi driver was really cool. He drove us to the arena. Helped us buy tickets and stuff and gave us advice on where to sit and everything. Took us into the merch shop. We bought a load of stuff in there. I bought this proper dad shirt, really hideous pattern. It had really corny buttons as well, which was little wooden circles that look like baseballs.
If you can find a photo of it, you should show everybody. That sounds absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh my god.
But yeah, basically we went to do that, and I got to see a Grand Slam. So a Grand Slam is basically where all the bases are loaded. So you've got one of your teammates on each one, and
if you put mines on them or something. That sounds explosive. No.
There were explosives though. Give me a second. So basically, honestly, I swear to God. So when the guy was there, he got all the bases loaded. He actually hit a home run, which meant that him and his 3 other teammates loading the bases all got in, and that's what a Grand Slam is.
Right, okay.
And if you get one of those, there's fireworks.
Oh my God.
They legit have fireworks on reserve for that, and that happened when we were there. So there's me halfway through helping my friend Rob eat. Basically, you could buy a baseball hat, like the helmets they wear. You could buy one of those filled to the brim with nachos, and basically, if you ate all the nachos, you could then wear it afterwards, and it was proper adult size.
This is what I need. This is what I need in life.
It's
I need
great.
a nacho hat that I can eat and then wear afterwards.
Honestly, it was so
this is incredible.
good. Baseball's
so
such
excited.
like a chill thing to watch. Like, it was super social. Like, everyone's
That
just
sounds
there,
great.
a couple drinks. There's a couple moments of excitement from the game because it can be a little bit drab to watch, but just as a social experience, spot on. Like, 10 out of 10.
It sounds really, really awesome. But I thought, seeing as like this is my first trip to America, and I'm going to be looking forward to doing all these cool things, the Stoked podcast is a great chance for Martin to give us some top tips for flying to America, for doing a long haul flight. Have you got any, like, should I bring a neck pillow? Is there anything that I really need that I don't have that you're like, you know what, Caff, you need this if you're going to America?
See, the problem is I would recommend a neck pillow if I always use neck pillows and then my head falls forward, so it kind of defeats the purpose of it. And it's not even big enough so I can turn it around, so I'm almost like resting it beneath my chin.
I was going to suggest that, yeah. Oh, that's a shame.
But that doesn't really work for me. I would say if you're going to America, specifically if you're going to the West Coast, if you can afford it, hold off a little longer and try and get like one of those beds, because they're insane. Like, they're so cool.
Right,
or even just a bit more space, that'd be good.
Yeah.
What else would I recommend? I recommend bringing in a gaming console, like, because a lot of people go, oh, well, I can get like 10 hours of movies on my iPad. You're not going to want to watch something for that long. You want to do something a bit more engaging and something that's going to wake you up. So I mean, like, for now, the Nintendo Switch for me is perfect. Like, this
I was
thing
thinking exactly the same thing. Yeah,
is going to come along. Like, and I guess as well, I would say, make sure you bring USB cables as well, because a lot of planes now, they actually have USB ports, so you don't have to worry about having a mains and an adapter and all that guff.
That's good. That's good. I mean, I know I'm going to be getting one of those big, chunky, like USB charger banks, power banks.
Yeah,
Because there's one that I found. I can't remember the company for the life of me, but there's one that I found.
It's probably
which can
Anker.
charge the Switch. Yeah, I think it's Anker. That can charge the Switch as well as my iPhone, so it kind of will take care of like everything.
Because for the Switch, you need to buy one that's USB-C, don't you?
Yep, that's exactly right.
And it needs to be certain volts and all that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I've double checked, and from what I understand, that's like the one to do. It's like USB power, some kind of gaming console, and plenty of like TV shows on your iPad/iPhone, right?
Yeah, I would also say maybe bring along some food as well. As daft as it sounds, I would bring a meal on the plane with you. Like, you know, even if it's like a packed lunch type meal, because you never know what the food's going to be like. So having that backup meal is always really good.
Or something. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I would never have fish on a plane. I couldn't subject people to it.
I've never even like had a meal on a plane before. I've not been on a plane for long enough to warrant a meal.
Not even on the 3-hour flight.
No. It's just it's just there. Boom, done. I think it
I've
just
been
about
to
doesn't
Germany
qualify.
and had breakfast on the plane. Like, that's way closer than Croatia.
I got a free drink, if that helps, but that was it. I had an apple juice.
Do you get a bag of nuts or?
No, not that I can remember at all. Like, I've
Who
never
did you fly with?
I've always wanted to have one of these. Oh, it was like a budget, like a super budget airline.
Oh, okay.
But I've always wanted to have like a little meal, a little little tray with a little individual portion of something,
It's
nuts
good.
Or
You know what
whatever.
it is? It gives you a little glimpse into your like future life, because the meals are basically the meals on wheels meals.
Space meals in space.
Because like my granny used to, we used to stay at hers every summer, and they were the meals on wheels people had come round, and my granny didn't even like half the stuff, so she'd let us have the meals as like our lunch, and then she'd go up the road to the shop, and it'd take her like an hour to walk to and from. It'd take us 5 minutes, bless her. And she used to go get herself a proper lunch, as she called it.
Oh, bless. Well, I mean, that's it. So yeah, we're looking at our future, because eventually Martin's going to be getting to Meals on Wheels. How many more years, do you reckon, Martin? Let's get to 40, and then we can just start doing Meals on Wheels.
Yeah, exactly.
Just give up at that point.
To be honest, you know what? I've only just in the last month or so started to learn how to cook. And up until then, I have legit just been living off of microwave meals and takeaway. So in fairness, I kind of was living on a Meals on Wheels situation.
So you're going backwards in time then. You're going the other way.
I'm Benjamin Buttoning my dinners. That's what I'm doing.
Mate. Benjamin Button. There you go. That's it. Benjamin Buttoning your dinners.
How did we get here again? Oh, America. That was
America. Yeah, that's it.
Completely off tangent. Right.
So excited though. Yeah, it'll be so much fun.
It's going to be really, really good. There's a good bunch of us going as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, by the way, we should say we're going to a convention called Mind Fair.
It's Mindfair. It's May 20th to 21st, so you can have a look online. It's in Texas, and I'm super excited. So I have no idea what to expect, but yeah, apparently from what I understand, America is a bit weird when you go the first time. Like everything is just a bit strange. So I'm looking forward to that.
There's some right sites as well. Like one of my favorite Twitter accounts is I think it's called Sightings in Walmart, and it basically just documents the strange people that you find in Walmart on occasion.
I love it. That's awesome.
I'll have to find it for you because it's fascinating to look through. Just some of the outfits that people concoct and some of the trinkets that they put on their trolley and just all sorts. It's weird.
If there's anything else that you guys can think of for us to do in Houston, let us know via Twitter or something. Let us know what you think, because I'm sure there's really cool things that we have just no idea about.
Yeah, for sure. Right, what is number 3 on your list, good sir?
So the third one that I've gone for is something that pretty much I imagine everybody is looking forward to. It's the last kind of non-gaming related thing.
Okay.
It's Star Wars: The Last Jedi. It comes out December 15th, 2017 in the United States.
Yeah.
Did you watch... So you're not a super big Star Wars fan, are you?
So no. So when it comes to Star Wars, I watched the films when I was younger. So I'm talking 4, 5, and 6. I watched them in a single evening when I had a lazy babysitter who basically just sat me in front of the TV. But I was so young and it was so much information that
watch Star Wars, you bastards.
It just went in one ear, straight out the other. So I picked up the films again. So 4, 5, and 6. I've still not watched 1, 2, and 3. I'll admit to that. But I watched 4, 5, and 6 ahead of number 7's release. And then since then I've obviously watched Rogue One as well, which I thought was really cool.
So what did you think of Force Awakens? What did you think of Rogue One?
Force Awakens, really into it. Genuinely really liked it. Like, having watched number 4 so recently, it had a lot of like callbacks to that, and I really liked it. And I was just impressed in general by the CGI and all that sort of stuff.
Awesome.
I quite like Rogue One just because you know that everyone's kind of doomed from the beginning if you have an idea of where it is in the timeline. Like, it is just, you know, when people joke and they're telling a story and then the kids are like, one more, and they go, okay, it's like, once upon a time there was a little girl and they all died at the end, and then they close the book up. It was basically that.
When there's you're watching it and there's like this dialogue where like, you will never win, and you're like, no, I know that you will never win actually. I already know this. I know what's gonna happen. You know.
I tell you what, like, one of my only gripes about Rogue One, not so much gripe, it was more something that I noticed, was there was a guy in Rogue One, you know, when they're trying to connect the cable to the ship when everything's going crazy. One of the guys that's shouting, I was like, I'm sure I recognise that voice. And at the same time as that, I was thinking, he's not the best actor in the world. And then when it finally did a proper like profile shot of him, it's one half of Rizzle Kicks.
Really?
The UK rap duo Rizzle Kicks. It was Jordan from those.
How did he wrangle that?
No idea.
It's amazing.
No idea whatsoever. Wow. But nice I was like,
right,
okay, fair play. And like, I even tweeted them afterwards because I think we still follow each other because we did a Black Ops 3, I want to say, like launch event years back where it was celebrities versus YouTubers.
That's a while ago.
So yeah, they were like, yeah, that's me.
Yep, I was in that. GG. There you go.
So no, yeah, so
you're excited, right?
Yeah, for The Last Jedi, yeah. And what's interesting is I've read a couple of theories, and clearly I must be interested enough where I've read theories. But some people have said that it could be Jedi plural. Like, a lot of people are stuck on the idea that there's going to be one singular Jedi left, but a lot of people are saying that it's likely going to be a collective. So it's the last Jedi, like the last pool of people are almost going to be like a dream team, like a super squad.
Like you have. I don't know if you've played any of the games, but you have Star Wars Jedi Academy, and that means more than one Jedi. So I think that does translate. I don't think it's just poor old Luke Skywalker just sitting on top of that rock, just going, I'm ready. Do you guys want to still do this?
Is someone going to come and find me now?
Did you get the map? Are you ready? Can we do it now? Can I use my force again? I want to use it. I haven't used it for ages. I've got no reason to.
I don't know if I've still got any power.
I can still float apples around if that helps. That's about it. Oh
my god!
So I'm super excited for Star Wars. I mean, the other thing that's really going to be it's like a sort of a sort of bittersweet is that this is obviously Carrie Fisher's last role as General Leia Organa.
So has she actually shot things for this movie then?
So she finished her work. She completed her.
She actually got the lot in.
She did all of her work
wow.
on the film before she passed away. So,
Oh, my God.
So there's no weird like Fast and Furious disconnection where they have to like CGI anything or anything like that. It's literally she did all of her role
that's cool.
before she passed. So Tarkin, I think, was just a bit difficult to look at because of the way that CGI, I'm sure you agree with me, that like when they do things like Avatar or like any kind of like big special effects where it's not like supposed to really be a human, it's easier to get away with. But when it's like an actual proper like person that we look at on a daily basis, it's really difficult. And they did a good job, but Tarkin just wasn't quite there for me.
They always just look a bit too glossy and smooth. Like, I know that bump mapping exists in 3D and stuff like that, and I can't proclaim to be any good at that sort of stuff. But it just feels like they're just missing a trick slightly. I don't know.
So
if that's
the character was
because they're trying to
Peter
save on-
Cushing. It was originally Peter Cushing. Yeah, that's the main guy who obviously is like the same character, Grand Moff Tarkin, originally cast by Peter Cushing, who died in like 1994.
Yeah.
So
August
it's been a
11th.
long time. But he's like instrumental in this kind of like plot.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I to be fair, like I actually think that the recreation of like young Leia, like young Carrie Fisher, I thought that was really quite good.
Yeah,
like,
a lot of people
jar
kind of
me.
give it grief, like, but I thought it was all right. Although,
She was a little bit sort of glowy, but it didn't like, because you know when you look at something and it just looks jarring. Carrie to me, that young Leia didn't look jarring at all. So. Yeah.
So, I don't know if you'll know how to explain this to me, unless it is just a weird oversight and just a weird niggle point in the story. But you know when at the end of... it's not Rogue One, is it? Oh, no, it is Rogue One. Right, so at the end of Rogue One, they bang the information in R2, they send Leia off in that little pod, and Vader has his cool little like corridor scene, which was badass, by the way.
Yeah,
that was sick. But obviously the idea is that the next film starts almost immediately after that. Like, the second she pops off the thing and heads off, then suddenly Vader comes in and basically chases her down and then hops on board and everything. But the way it starts in film 4 is that it's almost as if she's on a diplomatic mission and as if she's not expecting Vader to turn up whatsoever. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I think
at the end of Rogue One, it's a chase, but then at the start of the other one, it's as if she's been on her home planet for ages and she's just minding her own business, bombing along in space, and suddenly Vader's turned up and interrupted her. It's like, it seems like there's a disconnect there between.
But
like,
I think she's playing it off to Vader, to Anakin, like by saying like this is a trade mission, you know. And there is a weird disconnect because of how like violent Vader is in that part, and then when he goes into
then
the
he's
next
suddenly
bit,
super
he's
chill,
completely hands off, and it's all about the stormtroopers taking care of it. I think the thing that you need to remember, Martin, is that the Rogue One is not canon. It's not like
it's not?
it's not a canon film. So you need to treat it as like a well, exactly. Why bother? There's no point. Jesus, I'm done.
So is that not how Leia got the information in the first place, or
I don't know.
Or R2, I guess.
Like basically film 4, you know, Leia puts the information into the "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you might only have that classic hologram sequence" into R2-D2 and C-3PO, get an escape pod, boom, away they go. There's just droids in there, don't shoot it, and it just gets off.
So this is why I can't follow things like this, especially when things jump back and forth. It was odd that he released film 4 before 1, 2, and 3 in the first place.
Well, I mean, there was never going to be a 1, 2, and 3. I don't think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Like,
I think it was meant to be a
originally.
one-off, but somehow it struck gold, didn't it?
But I mean, have you seen the amount of like books and stuff there are for Star Wars as well? Like, there's so much content out there. Like, so many really good like Han Solo stories and stuff like that.
I know that, like,
But there's
Mark
a
in our
lot
office,
to go on.
Mark Humes, he's super knowledgeable about all things Star Wars. Like, he's crazy.
He really is. I like Star Wars, but he just like he's on another level to me.
Yeah.
And I don't pretend to know everything. So maybe ask that question to Humes. But from what I understand, like Rogue One is not supposed to be a canon story, so therefore like it can have a bit more creative freedom, perhaps. It's
Okay.
Not like
Well, that's something I
essentially.
finally have managed to ask that question to somebody, because that's bugged me for a little while in regards
But
to
it's kind of similar in the way that they started doing the reimagining of the Star Trek, going back to the first topic of the podcast. Star Trek, the new movies that they did like a fractured timeline thing.
Oh
So
god,
they-
this is
they
getting
made
down
it-
Legend of Zelda routes.
Well, it's
defeated Link,
it is that
victorious
kind of
Link.
thing. So we're actually in an alternative timeline right now where there's something else happening. It's exactly that. There's a point in the first Star Trek film where
we have to go back, Luke.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm not gonna spoil it for everybody because like Star Trek is something you should definitely watch the new films. They're great, but there's a point where it fractures and something changes, and therefore everything that happens in the new films has nothing to do with the original films, and that's that weird disconnect. But they're not.
Right.
It's not. They don't make it in Star Wars. The difference is they don't make people aware of that, whereas in Star Trek they make it very obvious that that it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a hard one. Maybe have a look online, see if you guys can figure it out, because I think there's a lot of stuff in the Star Wars universe that doesn't quite make sense, and they could try to piece it together. Yeah. But I think just saying like, okay, this film's just like, just some fun that we had. It's like a what if story,
Yeah.
What if we could have a look at that how they got the plans? Let's dig into that and find out how that could have gone. It's not this is what happened. You must remember all of this information. So don't worry too much.
Okay. That's all good. All right, number 4 on your list.
Number 4. So the last 2 are games.
Okay.
And they're things that I don't think I've been as hyped for these 2 as I have been in a long time. We'll start with Death Stranding, because
never even heard of it.
Death Stranding, the new one being done by Kojima Productions, Hideo Kojima.
Oh, is this the one where Daryl from The Walking Dead's like naked and crying?
That's the one. That's the one.
Okay, I do know it.
Yeah, so good old The Walking Dead Daryl is naked and crying. He's got some kind of baby, etc., etc.
It's weird.
Now, how much do you know about how Death Stranding kind of came to be?
I mean, in terms, all I really know is that Kojima's obviously left Konami. Is it?
Yeah.
Konami.
Exactly, yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
right.
literally my extent of it. So
there was
fill me
originally
in.
a playable teaser called PT, which
Oh,
was
of
like
course.
that kind of horror thing.
That was on the PlayStation 4, wasn't it?
That's right.
And then I remember that
4.
they really went to some extreme extents where they basically had it removed from all PS4s that next booted it or something daft like that.
Well, they removed it from the PlayStation Store, so you can't re-download it. Like, I still have the demo, but you can't get it back again. So, like, basically, whoever owns it right now, that's it. Like, you can't get it back again.
That's weird, isn't it?
Kind of scary, yeah. It's kind of scary, but at least I still have a copy of it. Essentially, it was going to be the new Silent Hill project. Anybody who knows my kind of game choices, I've always been a massive fan of the Silent Hill franchise. Always played the games when they first came out, 2, 3, 4, Origins, Homecoming, all those kind of games. And for there to be a new title being worked on by Hideo Kojima, with Guillermo del Toro being involved and Konji Ito being involved, this became like a really huge deal. Yeah. And then it got cancelled. And everybody became super sad. And I was super sad. I genuinely was like, oh, no. Because I don't think you're as much of a horror fan as me, but you can appreciate a good horror game, right? You played like some of the Resident Evils and stuff. Okay, so you know
I don't think
the odd
Until
horror
Dawn's
or two.
more like teen horror, isn't it?
It was pretty spoopy. They made it kind of like a bit unnerving. That was a really cool game.
Yeah.
Did you ever play like Outlast or Amnesia or even the Silent Hill games?
I've played some Amnesia. I think I've played a little bit of the second one, and I think I've just played a couple custom maps. It's one of those things where I'll play it once a year on Halloween for like a video because people like jump scares, and like I think Five Nights at Freddy's as well. I've only ever touched that as a one-off special, and never again.
That makes sense. Well, I mean, the good news for you is that Death Stranding is not a horror. So it's kind of basically essentially. So Hideo Kojima, like the whole project gets cancelled. Hideo Kojima then leaves Konami for whatever reason and just makes his own company, Kojima Productions, and starts working on this game, Death Stranding. It's going to be he's kind of saying it's almost like going to be its own kind of style of game, but it's supposed to be kind of like actiony, and now it's he's making a quasi-action game with new and different elements, and he describes it as how Metal Gear was originally considered a stealth game, But nowadays, it's more considered to be an action game.
Right.
Sorry, other way around. It's now considered a stealth game, but when it was first released, it was considered an action game.
Yeah.
But actually, the term action game has moved on so much in the franchise these days that Metal Gear would not be now considered an action game. Because
When I think of action game, I think of things like
Bayonetta or whatever, you know.
That's or even to an extent, I guess things like Nathan Drake. What's he in? Uncharted.
Yeah.
That strikes me as a bit of an action-adventure game.
Massive stuff going on, like some little quick-time eventy action, like just a huge...
You're not in a cardboard box in a corner hitting someone with a sleep gun.
Exactly, exactly that. So that's kind of like, it's kind of similar to that. That's how these sort of like roles kind of change.
Right.
So basically, Hideo Kojima he's testing the boundaries of stuff and working with just interesting concepts.
Yeah.
And still has a bit of input apparently from Koji Ito, Guillermo del Toro, obviously Guillermo del Toro, I can say his name, was actually in one of the recent trailers as well.
Yeah.
Or like his likeness, like he basically said, "Scan me," and then he was kind of involved in the.
I'm gonna have to watch this trailer. I've only ever seen that one weird trailer.
You should.
That's
the new trailers you should definitely check out, because I mean there's no like concept of really the game sort of showing what it is, and there's nothing really showing like what to expect. It's just like weird little sequences at the moment, which is kind of like piecing together just little bits of information, but it looks incredible. It has a song from a band called Low Roar, which are amazing. If you haven't heard of Low Roar before, you should go and check them out. Because that's the song that's the kind of like the really well-known song on the trailer. Oh, that's what you did there. That was good. Nice work. Good, top notch. But anyway, so yeah, regardless, this game, they've basically said it's going to be released before 2019. But as a fan of Silent Hill, who was robbed of a Silent Hill title, I am incredibly excited to. I'm staying cautiously optimistic, because I hope
like that term.
Well, that's it. That's what you have to be, right? Because Hideo Kojima, that he is passionate about the things that he works on, and some of the concepts that he's working on in this game sound like something I would like to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts.
The thing
anyway.
is, as well, it's kind of a double-edged sword with that kind of thing, because as much as he's passionate about what he makes, it means it's going to be really, really good. But if there's something that he doesn't think is quite right, he will have no hesitation in delaying or removing parts and this, that, and the other.
I guess that's true. It could be something that isn't released for many, many, many years, but I'm kind of okay with that. Like I prefer that kind of that process, because when a developer has the opportunity to say it's done when it's done, rather than some big company breathing down the neck saying, right, we want this to come out for E3 so that we can launch it and blah blah blah. That is a lot more of a difficult environment to work in, and that can cause problems with games. So and that leads us quite nicely into the final pick, if you want to hear it.
Okay, hit me with it. Because
essentially it kind of falls under the same vein of like done when it's done. And that is The Last of Us Part 2.
Ooh, yeah.
So
there was an E3 trailer, wasn't there? I remember watching
exciting. That. Yeah. So, for those of you who don't know and who haven't had a chance to see it, I didn't know anything about The Last of Us for a long time, because I never played it. And I only played The Last of Us very recently, in the past couple of months, with Hannah on my channel. Yeah, we've got a.
I thought you played it before and you were just doing the HD remake just for funsies or something.
What myself and Hannah are doing at the moment on my channel is playing games that I really should have played a long time ago, but never have. The Last of Us, the Walking Dead Telltale Games series, and now Fahrenheit as well, which is an old David Cage game. But The Last of Us, I didn't really care when they first announced this trailer. I wasn't really interested. I was like, what? I mean, who cares really? But now that I've played The Last of Us, and now I understand what the hype is and why
I don't think you even
need
to have had played The Last of Us to understand it. I feel like it's one of those games where you can even just look at a little bit of gameplay, or even just be told about it by somebody to like get it, like to be like, I can appreciate
cool. That. But it like completely missed my radar. Like I didn't know anything about that. I knew there was a kind of film-like experience game called The Last of Us, which everyone was like, "Oh man, you've got to play this. You've got to play this. This is so
for me,
important.
it's one of the only games that I've actually completed actually nearly completed. I'm in like the last season or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like it's winter for me right now. But that is the longest amount of time I've put into any one video game. Just for my own pure enjoyment, not for Let's Play, not for Twitch,
not
nothing.
for recording, yeah.
Just for me, in I think even the last 5 years, I want to say.
Wow, that's high praise.
Yeah.
So you like it then? You appreciate that kind of the storyline and everything?
Yeah.
I mean, it's great, right? It is great, and the fact that they're now working on another game, they don't say when it's going to come out at all.
No.
But again, Naughty Dog is a very good example of a company who will just work on something until they're happy with it. You know, and there's very few developers and publishers out there who have that luxury. And I think that's why The Last of Us Part 2 should still be a really, really interesting adventure.
Yeah.
The same way that the people who are creating it, Neil Druckmann, Haley Gross writing it at the moment, they've kind of said that the first game essentially centered around an overarching theme of love, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd agree with that.
The new game that they're working on is going to be centered around a theme of hate.
Oh God!
So that can, I mean, that can
Okay.
make you think what possibly could be happening. It's very very interesting.
It's
I'm
interesting
really
watching
excited.
things like that go through sort of transformations and almost blossoming in some ways. Like, it's a bit of a stretch, but it's still that sort of like post-apocalyptic, like sort of zombie sort of timeline type thing. But even seeing the differences between season 1 and 2 of The Walking Dead and now season 6 and 7, the shift in the focus between what's a threat and what's not completely changes, as well as like the general like vibe in the world as well, and like kind of what the new status quo is like between each of them.
But that's what it is.
Drastically.
The threat changes from the threat to the vibe, which is which is a really interesting concept, isn't it?
Which I think would be awesome in The Last of Us.
The further in we go, the further in the lawlessness goes, the more it happens. I do feel like perhaps we didn't meet as many people as we should have done in The Last of Us, because the first game, like we went through like sort of the main area and like the fireflies and stuff, and then wandered through into like another camp, and then there wasn't really any main kind of like larger groups of people that we got a chance to meet.
In a way, though, I feel like that kind of added to the game's sort of tone. Like, the game did have that sense of, like, it's very brief encounters with bodies of people, and for the most part, you still have almost, like, that isolation and that kind of...
Yeah, definitely.
And for like, silent ringing
character
going in your
progression and
ears.
stuff, it works well. But, I mean, I would like to see just how many people there are left in a world like that, you know. I think that's an interesting concept, and hopefully it's something that they'll kind of like look into in more detail. But
have you ever watched from the original Last of Us? Because obviously it was God, what's his name? I can never remember the name of the guy. He plays characters in all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah, I don't know the voice actor's name. No, I'm not sure.
What's his name? Let me check. That's it. Troy Baker and also Ashley Johnson play the two main characters. Have you seen the live stream that they did? I think it was not too long after the game's launch, where they on stage in a theater, proper stage in front of a massive audience. They actually reenacted a lot of the scenes from the game.
Oh really?
They actually act them out on stage, and then like between the scenes, they basically have somebody on stage who's reading sort of like, here's what happened between that scene and this scene in the game. But watching them deliver it live is brilliant. It's really good.
That sounds amazing. I'm actually gonna keep that on my old Google for later on.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch.
Yeah. There's a scene reading. Okay, awesome. I'll have to take a look at that. That's
really cool.
Yeah. So I mean, those I think Death Stranding and The Last of Us Part 2 are two sort of huge games that I'm gonna fall back to the cautiously optimistic kind of terminology, because I feel like that's how I feel about it, and I hope that they're going to be good. But you just don't know. They might ruin it. They might be terrible. We're all watching this back like in a year's time or 2 years' time, and those games are actually pants. And I'll be like, damn it! I was so excited, and I showed how excited I was, and now I'm not, and it's just the worst. Yeah, I'm hoping it won't be, but we'll see.
That's so good. Well, I think that's it. We can quickly run through my 5 as well.
What have you got?
Go into them in too much depth, but they're just a couple of things that I'm excited about. So these are my 5 stoked points, I guess, for the week. First one is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Really,
Huge.
really excited for that film.
Yeah, absolutely. The first one was amazing. The soundtrack in those games is incredible.
I think the main reason that I want to mention it is because I want to warn people to not watch the second trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Because,
I didn't, and I saw you on Twitter saying how like spoilery it was, right?
Yeah, there's a blatant, loud, and obvious spoiler at the end of the trailer. It's not even like something you
Why
would
do that?
notice and stuff like that. It's literally like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, what? That was kind of like one of the big mysteries from the first film. So that makes me worried that if they're so willing to give that information away, what's the actual plot twist and reveal going to be in the film? So
just watch no more spoilers. Just don't watch any trailers. In fact, stay away from it until it really gets released now.
But on the other side of that, I now think nowadays with films and stuff, trailers give everything away. So I'm now.
Oh yeah, I avoid
now
trailers
I'm
like the plague. Like they ruin it. They ruin things.
Yeah,
no
they
point.
do.
I might watch like a teaser trailer, but that's as far as I'll go. Cause
like I went back and looked at trailers for films like The Iron Giant and E.T. and The Goonies and all sorts of stuff like that, and they give almost nothing away.
Yeah.
Maybe to an extent where you wouldn't want to watch it, but I like how minimal trailers used to be. So
yeah.
that was that.
Definitely.
Point number 2 of mine is, like you were talking about your cautiously optimisticness.
Yeah.
And about how, like, game development studios, it's nice when they have the flexibility to delay things.
Yeah.
Well, a game that was delayed from the beginning of this year to April 11th was Yooka-Laylee.
Yeah,
which is
so this is exciting.
It's the 3D platformer that comes from a team called Playtonic Games. They are the guys, or some of the guys, that made up the Rare team back in the day when they made things like Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, some really big names in the development scene. And this actually, I thought about you the other day because I thought about you, Martin. In game, in the UK store that sells video games, literally called Game, don't know why, there you go. They have now got box art for Yooka-Laylee. Sort of pre-order now, so it's a proper, like, it's almost here now, guys. Come on, here we go. It's really exciting.
Pretty much
really
a week ago, as of us recording this, they actually announced that they went gold, which is basically,
That's insane.
I thought it was going to be like the music industry, where going gold means that you've sold X amount of copies.
Yeah.
Apparently in the gaming industry, that's not what it means. Apparently going gold means you've gone to print.
Does it? So every game is gold then?
Well, no, I think it's just a term. What is going gold in gaming? And apparently, it's just where the game goes gold. It means development on the game is done and the game is ready to be sold. Yeah, according to Google just there. Which is odd, because every other industry, if something goes gold, it's sold loads of copies.
Gold Master, which is a version of a game that the publisher has deemed good enough to be shipped to stores.
Yeah.
Wow.
How weird is that? Man. So that was another little thing I learned.
That is really strange. Why would you not make it about what? So does that mean that all the what does going platinum mean then? Because all the old PlayStation games were platinum. Does that mean that's just like did it? What? My
entire thing is just completely ruined. It's so stupid. But there you go.
Really
so there
weird.
Yooka-Laylee's number 2. Number 3 for me, I didn't know this existed until yesterday, and I've looked up information. I've looked up cinemas in Bristol and other places like that, and it's hitting the UK cinemas for one showing on one day. In like 2 months from now, is there's a Sword Art Online movie that's just released in Japan.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's a Sword Art Online movie
Crazy.
called Ordinal Scale, which is apparently based around augmented reality rather than virtual reality.
Okay.
And that is all I know.
I know nothing about Sword Art Online, so in 60 seconds, tell me why I should get into Sword Art Online right now. Go.
Okay, well, you like video games, you're pretty into MMOs. Sword Art Online is an MMO about a video game that takes place in virtual reality, but not the VR headset and the little controllers that we use. They actually put you on a bed, you put this headset on, and it taps into your nervous system, so you genuinely feel like you're in the game. Like, you're completely immersed. You have taste, you have smell, you have, like, feeling, all that sort of stuff. And basically, the big twist in episode 1 is that the guy who created this tech and the game is nuts, and basically he's decided that if you die in real life, then you're going to die in the game. Sorry, other way around. Die in the game, die in real life, because the device that you're wearing on your head is going to microwave your brain.
Wow, so they didn't actually like announce that before that they released it.
No,
now that it's out
no.
there.
This was just a plot twist on like, hey everybody, welcome to the Great Plateau on day one. Guess what?
That sounds amazing.
JK, you're gonna die if you die. So
that's exactly 60 seconds. You made it perfect there. I think that's very concise. Is it like a game predominantly or like movie predominantly?
Game. No.
Okay.
Sorry, Sword Art Online's anime.
An anime, right? Okay.
Yeah,
but there are video games out there of it. I'm seeing online now.
Yeah,
Hollow
but
Fragment.
they're obviously not like, it's obviously not VR or anything like that.
No. Yeah, you can't actually get tapped into your nervous system yet. That technology's a while off yet.
There's not even like an Oculus or a Vive game for it. You just sort of play as the anime characters when they're in game. So
yeah, that makes sense. I think that'd be pretty cool to take a look at. I might have to. I tell you what, whilst we go to America, I'm going to get the first season of Sword Art Online. Boom. Well, there you go. Done. That's perfect.
Sorted. So yeah, that film's coming out in May. If you want to go and check it out, I think it's May 14th. You can go and look at it. Number 4 on my list. It's taken me a year and something like 860 chapters later, but I finally caught up with One Piece.
Oh wow! I thought you were about to be like, and I've retired from Super Mario Maker. And I was like, what?
No.
Wow.
So I finally caught up with One Piece, and now I can enjoy, or actually, I guess, hate the wait each week for a brand new chapter. But I just wanted to express just how brilliant that series is. And yes, it's an anime, but the anime has so many filler episodes from what I've heard. And
I feel like you and
like
Korean Facts could have a good conversation about like why anime is good, because he seems to be a very hard person to convince on anime. But this series is one that I know you've been buying like a lot of it. Like whenever we go to like video game stores or whatever, you're always keeping an eye out for the next kind of like book. So would you say that? So you've read 800
chapters, yeah.
And how long is a chapter? Like in time to read?
A chapter's usually like 15 pages, maybe goes maximum of 20 at a time.
So for you to like properly enjoy that's probably about like an hour, maybe like half an hour to enjoy those 15 pages, 20 pages.
No, you'll be surprised how quickly you can read through them. Like I can read through a volume, which is typically a collection of, I want to say again, about 15, 20 chapters.
Okay.
You can read through one of those volumes in about an hour to an hour and a half. So basically, I've read 81, actually no, technically more. I've read about 84 volumes of the manga.
So you spent about 50 hours reading One Piece.
Oh yeah, probably more than that, to be fair.
That is incredible. And you'd say it's worth all that time?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's genuinely really, really good. There's a reason why it's the longest running manga ever. It's been running for just over 20 years now. It's still the most popular. It's the most sold. It's the longest running. All that sort of stuff. It's undisputed. It just is the best. It's really good.
That's awesome, man.
So I would say if you haven't yet, go pick up the 3-in-1, because basically all the way up until volume mid-50s ish, you can basically buy the 3-in-1s, which saves so much money. And if you're lucky and find a store that does 3 for 2, you can basically buy 9 volumes of One Piece for the cost of, not even the cost of 6, because it's a reduced cost because it's 3-in-1. So you can get like 9 volumes of One Piece. Probably for the cost of 3, maybe 4.
One Piece 3-in-1 edition, volume 1.
Whereas a singular volume of One Piece, if I do volume One Piece 81, that is on its own
$6.99.
There you go. So I mean,
so it's almost the same price for 3 rather than just 1.
Wow. And if you get 3 for 2, then that's even less. Like honestly, get into it. It's so good.
Well, so there you go. So big recommendation of manga there from Martin. Thank you.
Big
and the
time.
final of your 5?
My final 5 is Game of Thrones. I'm excited.
Oh my god! No spoilers.
Game of Thrones season 7 is coming soon. No spoilers.
Exciting.
But they released a very minimal, actually a super bare bones trailer or teaser, which was literally just some stone sculptures of all the various animals from the different houses in the story. And it's just got a couple of voiceover lines which are taken from previous seasons, so it's all stuff people will have known and seen before, and it doesn't really foreshadow towards anything, but it was just that reminder, and they sort of gave us the date of when Game of Thrones is going to be coming, which is good.
It just makes you get really excited again. So Game of Thrones is an interesting one for me, because I've only had a chance to get through the first 2, well, almost to finish the second season so far.
Dude, you got so much to watch.
I know and I'm really enjoying it. I'm struggling to find the time to sit down because the thing about Game of Thrones is that you don't want to sit down and watch one. You want to watch like 4 or 5 episodes in a row because it's good.
I sit down and watch all 10 at a time. I have days, and I even did it for a friend's birthday a while back.
That's literally a day. Oh
and
my
it
God.
was a day. Like, we sat down, we put Game of Thrones on, watched episode 1 to 10 of, I think, seasons 4 and 5, and just blasted it in one day.
Wow.
Because a lot of
they were
times
doing it to America then. I watched 10 episodes. I can get 10 episodes done on a plane, can't I?
You can do it on your flight, easy.
I'll have like an awkward boner though. That'll be good. No,
it's just,
I can't.
You know what?
Deal with
Surprisingly, the boobs get lesser as the show goes on.
Oh well,
that's
good. That's good. But I've heard that there are more willies later on and less boobies. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think I'd probably agree with that. Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's exciting.
But yeah, so that's going to be coming out. I think it's July 16th is when that starts on HBO. So
I've
for
got
us
to
in
be
the UK,
caught
that'll
up
be
by July.
17th.
Then that's my aim is to be completely caught up by the end of July.
You can totally do that. So then, obviously, this is going to be season 7, and then apparently season 8 is only going to be 8 episodes, but all the episodes are going to be apparently like an hour and a half long. So it's basically going to be 8 movies essentially. Because at the moment the episodes are 55 minutes, because obviously they have 5 minutes of ads in between. So
that's to finish the whole thing. Like
that's to finish the whole thing, whole story. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
So this is interesting because obviously they are very quickly accelerating away, and I think they've already surpassed the books, the Song of Ice and Fire books. Yeah. But I think they've worked together with George R.R. Martin, and he's given them the end point and some plot points on how to get there. So obviously, I think there's going to be huge differences between the book and the film, or the show even. Yeah. But that would just be interesting to see and interesting to read. To be fair.
To be fair, that I mean, if they're finishing off with eight sort of like made for TV movies, that sounds like a really cool way to finish it off. Definitely. Mm-hmm.
For sure. Awesome. I think as well there were rumours that after the 8th episode of season 8 that they were then going to do a proper big film to finish it off, like not in terms of length but just a cinema production, even though all of them you could easily watch in the cinema. To be fair, I would love that. Yeah,
well, I mean, can you imagine if like our local cinema put on like a little thing where you could just watch all 8 back to back on a movie screen?
Dude, I would go.
That'd be amazing, right?
I would go.
I think everybody would go. That'd be really,
I did that
really awesome,
for Harry Potter when Deathly Hallows 1 and 2 came out. You watch Deathly Hallows Part 1, it hits midnight. Part 2 then came out as its premiere, and that was like a 6-7 hour experience in the end. I think
that's a really special way of doing it. I like the idea of doing that. That's nice. That is really,
cool.
Really awesome.
So there you go. Well, thank you so much for watching and listening, everybody. Very much appreciated. Let me know who you would like to hear on the podcast next. All you got to do is tweet me at InTheLittleWood. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all those places as well. Be sure to follow Caff on all his socials. What are yours, sir?
Yeah, it's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. They're all just Caffcast, so you should be able to find me on there.
So CAFFCAST.
You've got it. That's it.
Nice. Right. Well, cheers, everybody. Have a good one, and we'll see you later.
See you later, guys. Bye-bye.